In pulling U.S. troops out of Afghanistan, President Biden declared last summer an end to ground wars and said he wanted to reimagine how the U.S. would use its power abroad. Well, it's now obvious the rest of the world is not reimagining conflict, as the largest ground assault since World War II is now taking place in Ukraine. Congress is now working to allocate one of the only things they are able to do in terms of providing support to the Ukrainians, and that is money. Here to break down all the latest from Capitol Hill and support for Ukraine is a member of the House Armed Services Committee, retired Brigadier General Congressman Don Bacon. Congressman Bacon, welcome to Washington Watch.
Thank you for having me back on, Tony.
So let's just start with the issue of the president's announcement today, Congressman Bacon, of cutting off purchasing of oil from Russia. You called for that previously, said we're giving them $15 million a day. This is a pretty significant pipeline of money that they're getting. Are you pleased with the president's announcement?
Actually, the article that put that out was misquoting me. It was $70 million a day. That's what the Russians have been receiving. And think about that, day in and day out, getting $70 million a day. We were propping up this aggression against Ukraine. We're propping up Putin. And so it was past time to do this. I am glad the president decided today to stop buying Russian energy. But I also have to be clear why it was done. He knew that the House and the Senate was going to pass these sanctions against Russian energy with a veto-proof majority. And he fought it all week and was trying to stop it. Once he realized that this was going to happen, he decided to jump on board and at least give the impression that he was leading on this, but he resisted it for the last few weeks. And why was that? Well, the first day of his presidency, he reduced drilling permits. He cut the Keystone Pipeline. He's not been doing any permits for natural gas terminals for a year, that they're just sitting there. And so the prices have gone up. So he fears these prices even going up more and that he'll be blamed for it. But we cannot be propping up Russian aggression and Putin. So this was a moral decision. It's the right thing to do. We got to isolate Russia economically, diplomatically, and we got to give Ukraine all the weapons they need to defeat this terrible, unjust, unprovoked aggression.
Well, let's talk about that, because right now I think it's about a $12 billion aid package being talked about to help the Ukrainians. Where does that stand?
Well, it's still being negotiated right now between the Republicans and Democrats in the House and the Senate. But I do know this, the Ukrainians need anti-tank weapons, thousands of them. There's a 40-mile convoy line stuck, and they're being attacked from 4 different angles. So we got to give these anti-tank weapons to the Ukrainians, and they're making good use of them. They need anti-air missiles, 2 different kinds. We're sending them Stinger missiles right now, and the Stinger missiles are really good at 5-mile range. They're very good for tracking heat off the airplanes, but that's the minimum for the anti-air. They also need the longer range air defense missiles that are radar guided. And we have the ability to give them these systems. And there's a few types of weapons that they're already trained on, and that gives them ranges at 50 plus miles. And that would be a game changer for the Ukrainians. They also need anti-shipping missiles off the Black Sea because they're being attacked with amphibious landings with the Russian Marines. And we didn't give them that. So, Tony, all I got to tell you, I was disappointed in December, January, and February. We had the ability to give these weapons to Ukraine, which would have made a better impact now if they would have had this stuff sooner. But now we're moving down this path, but we should have been done months ago. But better late than never. Ukraine they're showing such courage, and they are actually they're holding this Russian army, and with our help, they could continue to do so. And Russia's paying for it big time right now.
Well, Congressman, you know a little bit about controlling the airspace, and President Zelensky has said, they want a no-fly zone. That's not going to happen from NATO. Second best thing they're asking for are more aircraft. Conversations about Poland shipping them the jets that they have, that being replaced by the U.S. Where does that stand in terms of support for Ukraine?
I understand it's moving forward. The Ukrainians need some air-to-air fighters, but even more importantly, they need some air-to-ground fighters that can attack tanks and the convoys. And so there's these 2 different types of aircraft are in Europe right now. They're Russian-made aircraft. The Ukrainians know how to fly them already. So I am under the understanding that Europeans will be moving some of these weapons or these aircraft to Ukraine. But what our NATO allies want is a commitment from us that we will help them with getting F-16s down the road, F-15s. Some of these countries will be getting F-35s and so forth. But it's the absolute right thing to do. If we can give Ukraine the means to defend itself, I think they're going to prevail.
If they do not prevail, and they are showing tremendous fortitude, as you've pointed out, the president there doing a remarkable job of rallying the Ukrainians, both the military and the civilians, do you think if Putin is able to overcome the Ukrainian defenses, does he stop with Ukraine, or does he keep moving into other parts of Europe?
Well, first of all, it is possible he could prevail, but it's not looking good for them right now, because you got older ladies and guys going out with AK-47s and taking the fight. I mean, the whole country is just caught up in defending their homeland, and the Russian morale is low. I have good sources there that these 18 and 20-year-old conscripts that know what they're getting into, they're getting killed, and they don't know why. Why are they doing it? So their morale is low. The Ukraine morale is high. They're defending their motherland and their home. And if they do fall, though, I think it's very likely Ukraine will go into an insurgency situation where they'll be continuing the fight in the cities and in the countryside. So I don't know that Russia will get out of this for a decade, even if they prevail and take the country now. But to your question, Tony, I think if Russia wasn't met sternly here, Ukraine would not be the last country. The Baltic states have a very large Russian population, and that's what Russia's using as a pretense here with Ukraine. You have Georgia right now that already has been partially invaded by Russia. But we're talking about Moldavia as another country that there are some maps in Russia right now that shows that Moldavia is the next country that Russia wants to invade. And so I don't think Putin's got to be met with strength. And if not, he will continue doing these aggressions. But right now he's taking a black eye. So I'm not sure what he's going to do.
All the more reason we need to stand with Ukraine right now and put a stop to it right there, because they're doing the work. They are absolutely getting it done. Congressman Bacon, got to run. Thanks so much for joining us. Always great to talk with you.
Yes, sir.